Well, Haig, here we are, buddy. We're dealing with stuff like everybody else. Had a week. We're dealing with different stuff. We skipped a week, I think, didn't we? Yeah.
It's like 10 day.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I just thought, let's get into some fun stuff today. And again, this is a mind flush session. And why do we do it? Because we need to flush our minds. It's funny because every time I flush the toilet now.
Oh, that's all you think of now, isn't it?
I think about your dad's story.
Yeah.
He told you when you were a kid, flush everything down the toilet. Hey, it's a good practice.
Yeah,
I think it was our episode 1 or 2. So go up there and do that and check that out. But I always think about that now when I flush the toilet.
Yeah.
Flush our minds. But that's what we're here for. We're here to hang out, talk about stuff that most people deal with. We're just normal people dealing with stuff. And you read a lot. You're a very avid reader. You love reading, which is great. And
keeps me sane.
Yeah, man. And you read great stuff.
That's my tool. One of my biggest tools. We
reading.
talk about mind flush sessions and the tools. Reading is very much my tool, but specifically timing of reading.
Oh.
I think people misunderstand that reading has such a huge impact on us, and we have to know when we're ready to receive information.
When do you feel it's a good time for you?
5 a.m. Wake up at 5 a.m. I have a cup of coffee, and I read. And I read, stuff that's gonna feed my mind.
Yeah.
Whether it's 1 page or 100 pages, I read. It just activates everything, and it's easy to absorb. And best of all, oftentimes when we read, we learn lessons, and we get excited about lessons and tools because we get excited to apply them. If you're reading at night, well, that's great. You have to wait till the next morning to apply it. You read in the morning, you have that day to apply what you just learned, and it becomes more concrete. So for me, that's very much a mind flush. It kind of satisfies this anxiety in my mind. It kind of feeds it, and then I have the day to try out what I've learned or pay attention to it. So
nice and fresh, right off the griddle.
Yeah, so I think it's important to recognize, once you've flushed your mind and once you're clear, to recognize how you receive information and what's the best way to receive information.
And when you read, how does that make you feel? Because when I read, it's kind of meditative because it's forcing you to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're shutting out all the other garbage, which we're always trying to do. We're trying to push everything out, flush everything out. But when you read, you're really engulfing yourself in that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a, it's really good for the brain. I think it relaxes the mind.
Oh, absolutely. It's like feeding it. There's not a lot of things in our daily lives anymore that give us the same satisfaction as reading. It is meditative. It's a conscious choice.
Yeah.
Without screen, without light, without other stuff. It's just purely words. We have to put together the words. We have to read the sentences. So much of our brain is being used, and then we have to analyze what we're reading. And then oftentimes, if it's a good book, it becomes almost to like an existential level or profound in some way.
Right.
And, our mind just never runs out of things to do, but it's not exhausting.
That's great.
And
also you get to pick exactly what you want to put into your mind, which is rare in our lives as well, right?
Yeah.
We're always listening to stuff.
There's no ads.
Right. Ads, social media, friends, family. There's stuff being always slapped at us, thrown at us, spewed at us. But when you read, you're specifically saying, I'm reading this.
Yeah.
And you know why you're reading it. And it's a nice moment. It's a nice moment to do it, start your day that
peaceful.
way. Yeah.
It's
a nice moment. At 5 a.m. it's very peaceful.
It's almost, it's like eating a meal. It's really like when I don't do it, and there's plenty of days where I don't do it. I wake up a little later, or I have to get up and set up the studio, whatever I'm doing. On days that I don't do it, I feel like I missed like a meal. I feel like I missed breakfast.
Wow.
Like my mind, like no matter what I do that day, it's just something missing. Wow. And it's like, it's because it's hungry. The mind is hungry.
Well, it's good you said that, because I think, like when I tell people, I meditate or I do this, they think, you're like perfect. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time. We have our days.
Rarely are we on point.
Right. I mean, do it enough to, I think, be the majority if possible. Like I say with food, like with my son, he's like, I don't want to eat sugar. I say, son, it's okay. If you eat 80% of the time healthily, you're fine.
Yeah.
20%.
80-20.
Yeah. Don't be like same thing with this. Like, if you're like, I didn't work out today, damn it, then you're fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't take it to the extreme, because then you become a slave to it.
Well, yeah, even the mindfulness sessions, like it isn't about waking up every day and making sure that you have to do this,
Right.
or else if I didn't do my mind flush, I didn't find a way to flush my mind out, and I'm a mess today. It's like, well, no, you know, you have your tools, and maybe it just you didn't have time for it today. Maybe it didn't work as well as it usually does. But you know, as something, you know, being a professional isn't just a career path. Being a professional applies to being a human. Being a professional human basically takes one simple skill: stay the course of humanity. You know, be a person, feel your emotions, stay the course, trust it. Tomorrow you'll wake up and you'll, you know, try it again.
100%, man. That's beautiful. That's so true. Yeah, it's just staying on the path.
Yeah, stay the course, man.
Just stay on the path. You know,
Trust
you
it.
got a path, I have a path. You know, I might drift a little. I'm gonna go back. Just stay on that path. That's all that matters. You know.
And oftentimes when you go off, you know, there's things to remind you. You know,
Yes.
I remember one of the early episodes you talked about pain and what pain is. Pain is that, you know, a signal saying, hey, you're alive. You know, this is what's going on, and there's things in our lives that are there to remind us to get back on.
Yes,
on
and listen to that pain. Don't be ignorant and going, oh, I just burnt myself on that pot, but I'm gonna pick it up again.
Yeah,
Like, you know, don't be an idiot. Like, listen to the damn, you know. Sometimes you gotta talk to yourself a little strong, you know.
Yeah, you got to be hard on yourself a little bit. You got to be the tough one.
Yeah, you can't powder coat it. People think if you're spiritual and you meditate, you're like this powdery, fluffy.
No.
You're a normal dude. Just you talk to yourself the way you need to be talked to. I know how I needed to be talked to.
Well, yeah, you communicate with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and having the guts to communicate with yourself too.
Right.
You know,
Well,
it's a
that's
scary
true
thing.
too.
It's a scary
That's
thing.
true. Looking in the mirror is like not, you know, really looking at yourself.
Yeah.
You know, but learning to love that though, man, because
Yeah.
if you could look at yourself and say, it doesn't matter what I did or don't do, it's like I'm still this being, and if you could love yourself,
Yeah.
if you can't love yourself first, how could you love anybody else?
Absolutely.
You know?
Can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah.
No. I mean, all these people are getting all like, oh, I'm gonna fight this, and I'm rallying for this. I'm gonna try to make this better. Like, wait a minute.
Who are you?
Make yourself better first.
Who are you to yourself?
You're influencing people by your presence and your energy. You know, that's my biggest lesson with a kid. It's like everything I do, he sucks in, and I have to be aware of. You know, so important.
I saw a Instagram thing, a little meme or whatever. It wasn't even a meme. It was just a post, and it was a picture of a woman reading on the subway a book, and her like tiny, maybe like 4-year-old kid reading his own book in her lap. And someone made a comment of, or I guess like it was someone asked like, how do you get your kid to read, and how do you get him off his phone?
Ooh.
And she's like, I don't tell him what to do. I just do what I think is best.
Whoa.
You know, and like kids he sees that and he follows.
That's beautiful. That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
Kids don't listen to what you have to say. Kids look at what you have to do.
Oh yeah. They feel the energy too.
Oh yeah.
Like, be happy, but like,
They feel all that.
yeah, man. That's so true. That's so true. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And then okay, so books. I mean, you've read probably, I don't know, probably 10 times more books I probably will ever read in my lifetime.
I haven't finished many books.
Okay.
I've finished probably like 30 books in my life.
Okay. I mean, cover to cover.
Cover to cover, yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I'll read like a big chunk of a book and I'll put it away, and you know, or I'll read sections of a book over time.
Right.
And it just kind of happens. But I read like multiple different books at a time, just because there's different topics, different subjects.
Yeah. That's good.
But yeah, the one that actually a lot of people are doing this. I just ran into a guy at my gym that was reading it. It's called The Daily Stoic.
Okay, I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it.
Author Ryan Holiday. He's his resume is incredible. What he's done, he's an awesome human being. He's definitely a good example of how to live to your fullest and be nice to yourself and take care of yourself. But it's all about Stoicism, and he took the Daily Stoic and as a chance to provide a very simple, clear understanding to Stoicism. And so basically what he did, he said he dated it 366 days from January 1st, January 2nd, all the way to December 31st.
Wow.
Leap year has the extra day in there. And every day has its own lesson of Stoicism. And it starts off with a title and then a quote from like Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus or Seneca, you know, some of these like famous Stoics.
Right.
And then he explains it. Today, you would text me and say, hey, I want you to choose your favorite passage, which is funny because today was actually one of my favorites.
Right. Well, I never said choose your favorite, but you did pick your favorite.
Yeah, basically.
I was thinking of it, and it happened to be the favorite one. So
I mean, it's definitely like, I'd say like, what are we, today is February 26th?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have the book, look at February 26th.
Okay, that's cool.
almost 2 months. I'd say this is like top 3 favorite ones. And the title was To Each His Own. And I thought I definitely had an expectation for what that was, but it totally wasn't what I expected.
Okay.
And there's a Marcus Aurelius quote. It's a long one. I don't remember it, but he proceeded. Ryan Holiday proceeded to describe it as, this idea of offering your mind to someone. Like, is it worth offering your mind? Like, the reaction, reacting to things is one thing, but offering your mind to a situation when someone says something or someone does something, is it really necessary for you to react and give them a piece of your mind? One, it's not going to change anything, but what does that mean? And then it went into depth with a story about Abraham Lincoln, which I really liked, which kind of addressed, how to apply this, which I like because that's what we're trying to do here. We're looking for tools to flush our minds, and this was like screamed at the page. Funny that we did this today. I'm telling you, man, it's weird that we did this.
Whoa.
He told the story of Abraham Lincoln. He had a really hot temper sometimes with one of his workers, one of his employees. I think he was like a general. They use a better word, but one of the generals, and he would get really angry with him, like furious, more than anyone else, very often. And Abraham Lincoln wasn't famously angry.
Right.
And basically what Abraham Lincoln would do is, and he was a Stoic, famous Stoic, he would go into his office and he'd sit there and he'd write a letter to this guy. He'd write a letter not just, saying why he was upset. He would say why he was upset, give an argument as to why he's right and why the other one is wrong. Like an entire letter, go through a whole argument with like a debate on paper, evidence and statements and backing it up and why he thinks this and because he write this entire thing. He'd fold the letter and he'd put it in his desks, never sending it.
Whoa.
By the end of it, it's not I've heard people say like, oh, write a letter to them and don't send it. But it has to go deeper than that. When you sit down to write the letter, instead of giving someone a piece of your mind, give yourself a piece of your mind. Before you react and regret every decision you make for that next 10 seconds from someone, sit down and write a letter using your brain. Like, put out an argument, decide what you actually want to say, and prove that. And if at the end of it you feel like you're right, then you feel better and move on with your life. They don't ever need to know because they're not going to change. So to each his own. And after I read it, I was like, to each his own mind. Your mind is yours. Give yourself a piece of your mind. Very much how you talked about talking to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's wild that you asked that today. I was like blown. I was freaked me out.
I had the feeling. I mean, it's weird, right? It's like I felt you had something. Like I felt, I want a good exchange here, and then like, yeah, I think I don't know. I just felt like asking you.
Man, I thought it was wild.
That's awesome, man.
And they're short. They're like literally 4 or 5 sentences.
But that's all. I mean, that's very profound. I mean, that goes a long way. I'd like to really think before you speak.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you don't need to speak.
Yeah, and
most of the time.
That urge to want to, like, if you can realize that that's just an urge of you wanting to share what you think. If you can, like, kind of, very much like a mind flush. Like, if you're able to, like, take your mind and use that emotion and flush your mind onto a paper, like, flush that emotion and then
just releasing it out.
Logically look at it, make your argument. So by the end of it, you feel better about it because you have more clarity with, like, all right, well, this is why I was angry and this is what I believe and this is what it was. Situation passes.
Self-therapy almost. Like,
yeah.
It's just releasing it. And
absolutely.
So instead of keeping it here, releasing it, looking at it and going, well, it's really not that important.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I say this.
And maybe it was really important, but nothing's more important than you finding out why it was important.
Yeah.
So.
That is strong, man. Yeah, people don't change too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put that at the forefront, going, people are not going to change.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, typically they're not going to change. They need to make, and they'll change regrettably only if you tell them anyway. Let them discover it for themselves.
Which, I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
People, I think a lot of core change comes from us living our own lives. Like,
yes.
Someone can tell us the same thing 800 times, and we could really like it and want to change, but we're not going to until our body changes.
That's like the biggest thing right there. Wow. And I just heard Ram Dass I listen to on YouTube and stuff like this. One of my things I love to do every day is listen to videos, lectures. And Ram Dass said something, and it didn't make sense before, but this almost aligns with this. He says, be a guru. Well, wait a minute. I don't consider myself a guru, but wait a minute. If you're a guru, we're all gurus because we're all giving information out.
Yeah.
But what kind of information are you giving?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have good information, then don't give it. So it's just exactly what you're saying in this same quote. Don't give the information if it's not good information. Because whatever you do, people are being influenced by you, right? A guru is to influence you to change your ways or do something. Whatever you're saying or doing. So even if I tell you what not to do, I'm telling you something like, tell other people what not to do. You know, that kind of thing. You know, so it's just very interesting.
Well, what's interesting too is that, you know, I think sometimes it's not even about what you have to say, but how you're saying it. Like, even if what you have to say is like, you know, the reaction, if you're saying it from a place of anger that someone, because you're angry at someone, you're going to put someone in a position to stop listening because they're going to curl up and like stop, you know, hide away.
Right.
So it's true, like, you know, your information is one thing, but the, you know, presentation is all. Intention and presentation have to go hand in hand.
Right.
You know, it's
yeah, you could say it all you want and dress it up any way you want, but people know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
They feel the energy.
Yeah, and like, and ask yourself, like, if you're really, if getting angry with this person is how they will hear you,
Yeah.
then fine.
Right.
But if getting angry with this person is how you want to express it, doesn't mean they're going to hear you.
Right.
Two very different things.
Right.
Communication is about how this person hears,
Yes.
not how you want to say something.
Yes, yes,
And
that's
if
true.
and if you can't provide that, you know, build that bridge, then what you have to say isn't important enough for you to communicate. You need to go write it down to yourself.
Wow, keep it to yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, not keep it. You could keep it to yourself, but release it for yourself. Release it for
Flush,
yourself.
yeah, flush.
Right.
Like, very much like a mind
Yeah.
flush, like flush it out of your body. That you know, reaction, that
Yeah.
primal
Don't
instinct.
flush it on you.
Yeah.
Just flush it out.
Absolutely.
Away. Nobody wants it.
Yeah, your primal instinct
Right.
is going to get in the way.
Right.
Like,
Right.
be smarter than that.
Right. Because if you don't want it, why would I give it to you?
Yeah,
It's like,
totally.
I'm gonna flush it on you. That's rude.
Yeah,
Don't flush anybody, folks. Just
well, it's not going to get you anywhere.
No, it's
you
true.
know?
It's true.
There's no progress there.
right. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful mind flush thought right there to keep that tool in your mind to say, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lincoln. That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah, Lincoln. I mean, there's no shortage of great lessons to learn from Lincoln's writings and Lincoln's everyday life. Wow. He's
Yeah, profound, man. Back in the day, too, it was so hard, that lifestyle. He could have been angry and it could have been rough about everything at that lifestyle. It's hard back then.
he was a very intense Stoic.
So what's the definition of Stoic in your
Oh man,
words? What would you say?
I wouldn't even begin to attempt to know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. But I think from what I understand, it's people that are able to look very objectively at the world around them without denying their own subjective thought.
Wow. So being solid in their own...
I think appreciating and listening to themselves, but also being smarter than themselves in the moment. Like, don't let things get the best of them. Don't react right away. Be still in the moment.
Right.
You know, look at the world as it is and understand it, so you can create better paths for yourself.
That's so cool.
And not give anything too much meaning.
Right.
Outside of life itself, outside of
Right.
living better, you know, as a better person
Right.
itself. And once again, I can be totally wrong. I mean, this is just my understanding of it, but it's very much. I think of all the different books that I've read, I think Stoicism is so far my favorite on how to handle life. I don't think it's the end. Right. I think a lot of people grab onto Stoicism as like, this is a way of life. It is. It's a good tool to have. It's something everyone should study. But I think it's very much like a mind flush session. It should be something you use to get yourself to a place to really express yourself, to dive into something that matters, to,
Right.
you know, like something creative. But
Yes. Good outlet.
Yeah.
Transmuting it into better sources, like Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich talks about that tool.
Yeah.
You know, and he talks about if you're able to take an energy and transmute it into something else that's productive, you know, it becomes very strong.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to be willing to do that. You're redirecting it, basically. You're taking it out of that, like, pounding you for something and redirecting it into something more positive and more productive.
Well, it's kind of like depression. You know, they say depression, contrary action is necessary. You know, like depression, you want to stay in your house and, like, you know, cuddle up in bed and just, like, fall asleep.
Right.
You know, contrary action, you don't necessarily want to do. But if you can push yourself to get up and do the opposite,
Right.
it puts you in a different place.
Yeah.
Very much like when you know that if you this energy to another thing to make it something, but it requires that energy. You have to do that task. It's like every time you feel like, oh, I'm just too tired, if you can constantly get on your case, talk to yourself,
Right.
you know, look
Just do
yourself
those little
in the
tools
mirror,
in the morning, right? Those little tools.
flush your mind, do that
Right.
tool,
Little
and
power move.
do that contrary action.
Do something. Smile. Remember the smile thing we talked about? Then the smiling in the air. Just keep your hands up. Just changing the physiology helps too, because like you said.
Fists on you know this one?
No.
You stand, you put your fists on your hips,
Yeah.
put your chest up, and you look up and you smile,
Like a
and
superhero.
confidence.
Like a Superman.
I'm telling you, you hold that long enough, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, that's good. So use whatever you have, man.
Yeah.
Because you got to use all the tools you have.
Oh yeah.
Don't hold back, because you're building your life. So you got to use, you're a builder. Those tools out there make that quality life.
Sometimes you need a hammer and nail, sometimes you need a drill, sometimes you need a table saw.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
Can't do it all with one, screwdriver.
No. It change. You have to change it with the terrain.
Yeah.
You have to be an all-terrain vehicle.
I like that.
You'll be an all-terrain vehicle, man. Sometimes it rains. You gotta go through the puddles. Sometimes it's muddy and or snowy or icy, cold, whatever. You gotta get through this terrain.
Sometimes you're
Rocks.
a convertible.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you're flying. Woo!
Enjoying life and just chilling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I think the flexibility is the key. We talked about that too, being flexible. The opposite of flexible is being rigid,
Yeah.
which is near death. Rigor mortis is like near your death. When your
Yeah.
muscles become rigor mortis, it's
Yeah.
tighten like a rock. But if you're flexible, that's when you're young and you're moving, like not.
Be the palm tree, right?
Yeah, man. Let that thing flow and flop and move and enjoy it, in the wind. But that's great. That's a great quote today. It's not. Is it called a quote or is it just a daily reminder?
It's called the Daily Stoic. It's just he names them.
Yeah.
Today he called it to each his own, and then
Daily Stoic.
He follows it up with leads it in with a quote from one of his favorite Stoics and something they said once. A lot of it is Marcus Aurelius because he's a famous one.
Right.
Seneca, Epictetus.
You see, I was not lying. He does know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this stuff you
For
can get
a
from
young
a book.
man,
That's one book you can
but
get it
for
from.
a young man, that's so impressive as you. I'm twice your age, and you know twice as much as I do.
Yeah,
That's
I wouldn't
wonderful.
say that, but I appreciate it.
It's true. But hey, it's fine. We're on the same path. We're helping each other out.
Rock and roll.
Anybody else that listens, if it helps them at all. I mean, it's not our job to help anybody, but at least we're making it available.
Yeah.
You have, like you said, you can't tell someone. You have to just let it flow, let it happen.
And if it reaches one person for 1 second, then it was worth it.
Yeah, man. Every life is precious. You know that. We all know that, and it's a miracle. We're walking miracles.
Yeah.
It sounds cheesy, but it's very true. We're walking miracles. Nobody could replicate it. You gotta constantly think about that. So that's great, buddy. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Let me dive into that.
Yeah, I love it. I gotta go out and get that book right now.
Man, everyone should go get that book.
Barnes
It's
and
worth
Noble,
it.
The
Yeah.
Daily Stoic.
By Ryan. All of his books are great. Ryan Holiday.
Ryan, what a nice name too.
Yeah, what a great name.
Ryan Holiday.
Ryan Holiday. Yeah.
Living the holiday life, baby. Yeah, enjoy the ride, everybody. We're on the ride. Might as well enjoy it. You go to Disneyland, you pay your price for your ticket, but you don't ride the rides. What good is it?
Yeah.
We're on the ride if we like it or not.
Yeah.
We're not controlling it. We're not changing it. We're enjoying it. Enjoy the ride, everybody. See you next time.
Rock and roll.
All right, buddy. Oh, let's not go until we get a little of my favorite music. See, this I get a musician to perform for me right here.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, what do we want today?
Give me some describing
It's out of tune is what it is. Sorry.
the feeling you get of after reading your passage today. Are you able to maybe turn that into a musical?
The feeling I got.
Feeling of reading that passage. Wow, that's right. It's very nice. Very beautiful. Enjoy the ride right from the heart, right to you. Thank you.
Cool. Right on, man. It's a good one, eh?